Right, Fambulem, I bring on a warm greetings wherever in the world you may be these times. And the conversation for the heart and soul of the country of the West African Republic of Sierra Leone continue. And then and now is championing that conversation in many respects. Today, Fambulem is a very, very important day, and it's the 10th day of September 2021. And in the then and now today, we get three gentlemen, or suppose we get three gentlemen. We get two now as we speak. We expect the other one for join, and then all belong to a political party called the C4C. And in the then and now, like I've been saying, we go try for see whether we're able for introduce briefly, and we go allow themselves for introduce themselves. We get Mr. Ia Fande, which gradually is becoming a household name in many respects, ladies and gentlemen. And also in the then and now today, we get another renowned name, a veteran, I may say, and he's none other than Mr. Metzger. And like I say, the resume of these two where we get in the meantime is so loaded that you self, when they call you for can't help for describe them or read that resume there, is sometimes a little bit difficult. So we can give them that for let them just introduce themselves to Fumble and tell Fumble them adieu. So Mr. Iapande, I want to begin with you first as the global chair, I believe, for a political party, for introduce yourself to Fumble and tell Fumble them adieu, if you don't mind, please.
Well, thank you very much, Prince, for the invite. Thanks for being here. Appreciate the invitation. We invite C4C for the Kanjoni you program today. Ifambo de Mina Yafande. I didn't know the diaspora. I didn't know the US to be specific. And I just want to tell Nadu, thank you once more and thanks for the invite. Ifambo de Mina Yafande. I didn't know the diaspora. I didn't know the US to be specific. And I just want to tell Nadu, thank you once more and thanks for the invite.
Many, many thanks. And we will now go to the second gentleman who happens to be the chair of C4C, United Kingdom and Ireland. Mr. Metzger, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmer. Well, me, I name Kevin Metzger. The moderator don't introduce me already. The reason why they are because me are the chair for United Kingdom and Ireland for C4C. And I think say we all get Salon now we mind and Salon they live now we heart. We love the country and we want to see a better one. And that make we join C4C in the very first place.
Again, Mr. Metzger, many, many thanks for that brief introduction. And Fambule Meka just apologize briefly for the delay in time. Sometimes we can add humor to this. We get something what we call BMT for short, but generally meaning black man time and no black man time. We always kind of have, these delays. Funny but serious though. But anyway, it's more serious what you want for engaging today because like I say from the introduction of the program, this is about the heart and soul of the country, Sierra Leone. And it's about a political party where very, very significant in the sense that, and I want to provide a little bit of context before I kickstart this program in effect. At the turn of a civil war where we decide for go into a program called democracy. Democracy, of course, are ruled by the people, for the people, and by the people. And after we lost so many of we compatriots them, we be hope say, whatever construct come out of the ashes of waiting we suffer as a consequence of over 10 years of war, whatever develop from there go better the country, better we people them. And then we find that path there, Usai, we go get for see eye to eye that even though when we hold differences, but we go disagree for agree. Unfortunately, this does not seem to be the case as we continue for suffer in many different respects, identity, politics, division, and etc. One of the hopes that we emerge from that process Now the people were they talk to so in the form of a political party called C4C, which became the third major party in a parliamentary democracy. And this is significant. I lay the emphasis because I want for them to feel with you they talk. That the third major political party will be harbor some hope, will be render some hope, will be give hope to the people. Today, there are so many questions and it seems like then they implode. And this not just me opinion, but pretty soon we will get them from the main people and we involved. So in this sense, we don't see many things that happen culminating to the resignation of one person when I call the talisman for the party, we happen for be Alaji Samsumana, we left the party, say he want go further in political journey. When he left the party, since he left, we don't see here and there ifs and buts and etc. And this is where we are today. When I put out the bulletin, for this particular program in the form of a flyer, the backlash on social media, which other people may not realize, was heavy. I came under a scathing attack. And when I say I mean I'm in every respect. And that gave me chance for sit back and reflect. It's like, hang on, what's going on? So when I come to this program today, I come with a different perspective. And that perspective, they now want to use for opening up this program. So I go straight to the acting chairperson for the global C4C, Mr. Ia Fande. And the issue I want to talk about while I open the program, Mr. Fande, is about legitimacy. This title where you get today, how did you acquire this title? How did you manage to get this title? Because prior to the now, I don't believe this title was yours. And this is just a question, sir. I'm just asking because I want to fumble and try to understand the construct within the party in terms of where we are with this position and where you get, where Mr. Medziga gets, where I go get soon to Mr. Medziga. How you get this title?
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the question where they ask. First of all, I want people to understand, say, C4C was started at the US. Now it's been a diaspora organization. So all starts, we have a diaspora structure as well as the home-based structure, na salon. But then what happened after the election, as you explained, we leader decide to go na APC. So what happened? We the diaspora group, most of the founders we stay together. We form a core group or continue for seek the interest of the party. So all along I don't serve at the global level, In fact, for the history of C4C, I will tell you, say, Prince, C4C and Pilot begin 2017, January 7th. So I not be ever aspire to be a chairman or global leader, but I was I been deputized Aliu throughout the elections till after election done. So after that, Aliu decide, say, in one for looked at other is interested in other positions within the group. So he decided for step down. So naturally, when he stepped down as the global chairman, me step up as in deputy. So if people in the question how I get this position, that's how I get them, because Ali has been our global chair since the inception of C4C. So we step down and then I naturally step up as the global chair. So this is how it came about. So if people in the ask you and they have a question with position, that's how it came about. And the people in the ask you, so they know the history of C4C. They know, I know the people that are behind these questions. They know how C4C begin. They know, say, I have been in this group with this party since I invite 10 people that me pala 2017 January 7, or the name C4C them in living room table, now they point them, now they come up. So if they ask you this question, this is the answer to them. I just want to make it clear. Okay, so we are still together. So people that feel say, the rumor will be there. We say, and I don't area all over the place. They say if Sansmana left, we see C4C go die. So we want to prove to people that say Sansmana go on IPC, you know go put C4C, you know go distress C4C, because Sansmana found C4C, and the people in the back Sansmana, they know that. They know say they are not C4C, Sansmana found C4C, and the people that really get the interest of C4C now stay together and we move this party on along the way. and throughout the next election. So we're there, and we're gonna stay there. And C4C is here to stay, and it's here to live forever. This party is not about one individual; it's about a group of people that believe in something that we believe. Say with time, we aim at objectives could come to fruition as alone.
Yeah, sound very, very optimistic, and it's like a political leader that deliver like a sermon, here to the faithfuls. Mr. Mesga, I believe the background na law. So I want to
Yes.
talk about the construct of your party regarding legality in terms of them position
Yes.
there. What will you talk about? For example,
Okay.
like I say from the beginning, Mr. Iafande happened to be the global chair, but of course, you don't say how he turned out for become the global chair. And then yourself,
Yeah.
you are also a big person within the party as chairperson for United Kingdom and Ireland. But looking at the party in construct, looking at the party in rules, internal rules, the rules that we bring una together as a political party. Along the way, for let we arrive where we are, where there's
Yeah.
an other side where we go come to shortly, where now they question una legality. How come will an other side question una legality? In other words, sir, how you manage for acquire this position where you acquire, including Mr. Fande, including Mr. Iskandri, we go later on join this
Yeah, this is
program
air.
for let the other people on the other side understand in the legal sense, sir.
Well, in my own case, it's very simple. Like Fande, Mr. Fande, I don't get any political inclination whatsoever before 2017. Well, I mean, maybe even worse than him because maybe even don't get before. But in around February of 2017, I was approached by certain people. We go a meeting at South London. From that meeting, they then decide, say, let me
Now,
form
yeah,
this
this is here.
political lobby group. And when we formed this political lobby group, they decided to elect positions. To my surprise, I was nominated and elected. I tried to turn the position down because me, I'm not like for take anything on where I go sort of halfway panam. If I commit to something, I commit fully. So that was the beginning. I was told, no, you have been elected and this is it. We then formed this group called the C4C political movement in UK and Ireland. We grew organically, as did the party. So, for example, when we realized that there were issues with Sam Sumana, which all of us had realized at some stage, Chief Sam Sumana had been removed from office as vice president, unceremoniously, unsurreptitiously, and we believe unlawfully, or we believed at the time. That position remained a belief until in November, I believe it was, of 2017, when the ECOWAS court said it wasn't right.
Messiga, just hold on right there. I don't know whether or not Mr. Fande. I think there's some noise they come in your background. I don't know whether you try to monitor the program or some radio network, but there's a background noise that they come up from one of them. Definitely not from me.
It's not me, Mr. Fande.
Now the audience now they complain, which means that they are intent on listening what you're saying, sir.
Thank you. Well,
yeah, carry on.
While I'm speaking, I wonder, Mr. Fande, would you go on mute for the moment? Because I was hearing
maybe
yes,
just mute your audio in the moment. Yeah, it's gone quiet. Yeah, so probably it's you. Most likely, yeah. It's gone quiet. It's gone quiet. Carry on, Mr. Meska.
Okay, so I think we have not reached the point where we say ECOWAS court give Chief Samsumana the right for say the way in which them pull up as vice president in a salon not being correct. But in between there was a story. So maybe in travel to Freetown several times in 2017. And one of those times was in March of 2017 when we started to talk about C4C. As a political movement, there were many people within us who were opposed to forming a party at that stage. But with everything that was going on the ground, there was a global meeting wherein people, including Mr. Fande sitting here, decided to reach out to Chief Samsumana and ask him to lead the Coalition for Change movement. At that particular point, there was no response. There was no negotiation or discussion. Chief Samsumana, I think towards the end of March or beginning of April of 2017, himself came to Freetown to register. And people may recall on Radio 98.1, Radio Democracy, I think it is, when he was asked the question, and he agreed that he had been invited to come and lead what was a political movement. He mentioned at that time the people who he believed were in charge of C4C as a political movement. And one of the names he mentioned was mine. The other was Dr. Iskandri's. Now, I don't claim to own anything, and I certainly don't agree with the tag that he may have given as to ownership of C4C. No. C4C owns me, because it is an idea. When we started as a political movement, what do you remember? We must say we born picking now. We want for born fine picking. We want for men this picking fine one because what do we get a mind for salon? Now, what all the things that we been talk about we begin? Democracy, government for run by the people. Yeah, whosoever them pick for able for listening to him people and do something where they help the people and for let the people then grow. And we don't see say salon we don't reach a stage where we just deteriorate. And another important word you mentioned was division. The division was there. We had two parties, and there's no dispute about it. We get the red, we get the green, we get APC, we get SLPP, and the country would go one way or the other. But it was always going and coming back, and still deteriorating. So we believe, say, we can get a way for change all of this. But it came to pass that the only way we could do this by about the middle of the year was to make ourselves into a political party. So we reached out to the people on the ground who we had been working with. And amongst those people was a group of people called Friends of Samsumana. We created a C4C in Sierra Leone. Made them elect. In fact, there was a co-chairman. So there were two chairmen in C4C Sierra Leone. And all this was intended to bring peoples together. So we would break down this whole ethnic and tribal lines that we have to bring nationalism and patriotism back to our country, because at some stage we believe it existed. I grew up in Sierra Leone in the 60s and 70s before I left Sierra Leone. And I tell you what, sometimes I go back now and it's deplorable. I don't be what when I can sit down for talk to them picking it, like I walk at it, I see some picking it and sit on the garden, they play ball. Or they just sit down, they keep company, I go watch them. And say, hey, what's it? Wait, man, look you. What's it they do that? We begin talk. When I tell them, say, I go on a salon, I tell them whose school I go and everything. I tell them of my life. I tell them almost 5 cents granates been they buy while been they go school. Then look me like say, this man has something not doing it because then thing they talk. It's not possible for them to go from Usai it talk so till Usai we reach now we will spend hundreds of thousands of euros for things. So do you see, by preaching that to the young people, at the time for explain things to them, this was the whole idea of C4C. For let people to understand there's a better world, but we can only do it if we join and all together. So anyway, the story long, I'll not talk too much. You did ask me about legitimacy. When we eventually created a political party and we went for temporary status, we had some difficulties, which some people would say were of a political nature, but we persevered. And in the meantime, we created an interim committee on the ground. Eventually, it wasn't until the 20th, if I'm not wrong, of December of 2017 that we achieved full political party status. We started to run like headless chickens for begin organized convention, this, that. And we managed to organize the convention and get it going, I believe, in the second week of January of 2018. Remember, the elections were in March. So what we achieved as a party in that very short space of time, I think was being heralded across Africa as a very great thing. Eventually, we got 8 seats, and we go tell all man say, in Corona, 9 seats we win. But that 1 seat there, well, a long story and a different story, but we will give up for the moment. So we were happy that we had achieved not what we set out to do, but we had put our foot onto the political millstone. And we had brought our leader, Sam Sumana, with us. Now, you talk about Sam Sumana's resignation. Sam Sumana's resignation was a personal choice dictated by his own experience in life, his understanding of what the political status and symbolism is in Sierra Leone, and of course the fact that he grew up or came to the notice of the people of Sierra Leone under the banner of the All People's Congress. We did not stand in his way. He called us at global level to tell us that this was his decision and we wished him well. But we had formed the decision that C4C and what we stood for should remain. But unfortunately, you see, the problems that we are talking about today with the people who are talking to you about legitimacy came about really at around the time when decisions were being made to consider careers in another political party. Because there are people who remained in C4C who had the goal of taking C4C lock, stock, and two smoking barrels to the All People's Congress Party. Now, we may be a coalition for change, but as a party and under the laws of Sierra Leone, we must be an independent party. There is nothing stopping us coalescing with people, but the time wasn't right. And the moves that were being made were not right. And what people were doing who were elected or selected in January at our convention was running the party into the ground. Despite several letters, despite several communications with them, visits on the ground to Sierra Leone by myself, by Dr. Iskandri, we were being totally ignored on the basis that they owned the party. Now, if you remember what I said about owning, the one thing that should not happen is one person should own the C4C party. And we decided that this was not going to happen. After 2 years of discussing with people who should have been in office for only 90 days, of being rejected, of being ignored, we decided the time had come to take a step. And we did so. The events that bring us here today probably are stemmed in what happened some 2 weeks ago in the Kono district at an event organized by another political party that has already been mentioned in the course of my discourse, the All People's Congress. And some people who purported to be C4C, some people who were elected or selected at our convention were either vying for positions or seeking to participate in the process of the All People's Congress Party. That cannot happen. And no political party can sit by and allow for that to happen. So my legitimacy, as you ask again, just reeling back a bit, was after the elections. I attended my resignation in UK and Ireland, called a meeting, and they said, no, we're not going to accept your resignation. I said, well, let us re-elect. So everybody who wanted to stand for positions, I was nominated again. I said, no, it's time for me to leave. They said, no, you will remain nominated. You've been nominated. And nobody stood against me. So I was effectively unopposed in position. You know, sometimes we have to do things which go against the grain. I like to work in support of other people. I don't like to lead. So leadership is something, in a sense, in UK and Ireland that was thrust upon me, which I didn't grab with 2 hands and 2 feet like some people do, but which I took because it came with a sense of responsibility and because the people who put me there believed and trusted in me, still do, and support me in the work that I do. In fact, we work hand in hand together to try and achieve what it is that we think is important. I'm sorry, it has taken a little bit of a long time and I've gone through the houses, but I hope what I have said answers your question, sir.
Have to work a certain day a week to be eligible. You can see that. That is, yes, associates must
I'm trying to hand over to you, Mr. Chroma, but I think we might be having
I
some
hope so we go share this
technical.
program. Of course, the idea that we start almost an hour late make we lost viewership, but I know say consequently people and go join. Yeah, I hope say people and go, yeah, kind of sign on and join later. But here is the thing, yeah, Mr. Fande, before we go to the real bottom of waiting this program is supposed to be about. On the same issue of legitimacy, where Mr. Meziga just touched on just now, in terms of the rule of law, say you get your all political party association, you PPRC, political party, the registration, who say they're supposed to know them and their officials. Are we saying, for example, these titles that some of the C4C members have come to hold are registered, recognized by the PPRC? Mr.
Well,
Fande?
let me make it clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Yes. So just to be clear, this position that we're talking about is a diaspora structure of C4C. It's got nothing to do with the national structure. The national structure, we have a permanent executive and leadership in place that is registered at PPRC. So the defunct leader that we have right now, we are in court and we put an injunction on them because we realized that the intent is to destroy C4C because they want to go justify the fact they want to go to APC. So I just want to be clear about it. This is two different structures. So the diaspora structure got nothing to do, the leadership got nothing to do with PPRC. The national leadership is registered and intact and in place until after the injunction, when hopefully we'll go to a convention and voting or at least approve or seek new leadership into the national executive. So this is the two different. So our leadership, executive and leadership, offices got nothing to do with PPRC. So that's the difference. That's a distinction.
Okay. So again, quickly, Mr. Fande, all your thoughts there. So you don't spell out the differences in terms of the PPRC and the internal party sort of structure, where provide these circumstances under which you and maybe the interim chairperson fend themselves. So waiting at this issue, where other alleged question on this issue, because I need to move on to the point, get with people like you where this internal party structure don't recognize you and others supposedly for don't move along, but then seem not for don't move at all. Instead, they want for play 1 foot here and there, assumably, and 1 foot on the other side.
Well, to be honest, I can't speak for them. That is their personal intent or personal view. But the bottom line is, these folks that are aligned with the former leader, their intent is to really to destroy C4C so they could justify their move to APC. And some of us said, no, we did not form C4C for one individual. This is bigger than one individual. So, we're doing everything in our power to make sure C4C is sustainable, C4C lived on, and we move on as a political party for the interest of the country and not just one individual. So, whatever is being said or whatever is being alleged, that's their personal views. I mean, we can't control that. People will have views. There's a lot of views out there, but that don't deter us from doing what's right. What I know for sure we've done right since the elections, there's a group of individuals that have sustained the party, that have kept the party alive. And I, for one, I'm thankful for that. And this group is made up of different tribes. It's made up of different, facets, and we're working tirelessly. We meet every week just to make sure C4C sustain. In fact, just recently we just established our office in Freetown, which was closed by apparently they moved out of there because they could not pay the rent. So this group has been the key, the core, and the lifeline of C4C since the elections. So I personally am thankful for that. So anybody else with their personal view, that's on them. But the bottom line is their intent to destroy C4C never came to fruition. And by God's grace, it will never happen.
Wow. So there's an intent, according to what I hear from the global chairperson, of a certain group of people for destroy the C4C. Just a quick acknowledgement before I move on to the next question. Chernobyl, very interesting analogy of C4C and Sam's progression to the limelight of Sierra Leone politics. Thanks to the then and now. Many thanks, Mr. Chernobyl. Thomas Moconte, send me your contact. We will try for bring you on the basis of COSs. Yeah, Hassan Jallo, Ajaratu Kamara, Dean Williams, Abu Conte, Supermed Kamara, and many other people watching. Mr. Metziger, you are accused of election meddling by the All People's Congress in the own elections. So much so that you will get for hold a press conference for either diffuse the tension, deny the allegation or accusation, or otherwise. Is this true, sir, that you try for meddle in another party, another registered political party, than local election, something we're pertaining to them? Did you, sir?
Neither me personally nor the C4C party that I represent has ever contemplated behaving in such a despicable manner. If I start by speaking with such force, you will understand that we are actually shaken that people who hold position in the C4C party would do things like that. Of course, it is subject to investigation. It will be investigated properly as far as we understand, and ought to be investigated properly. But if they did so, then clearly they cannot stay in the positions which they borrowed from the people on the 19th of January of 2018, as we were getting ready to go to elections. I touched on this point, and make a remind you now. When we go election, the first convention where we hold, I was the inaugural chairman in Freetown, and the PPRC was represented. I sat next to the lady from PPRC as I was carrying out my duties. I was introduced as the chairman of UK and Ireland of C4C. So hopefully that deals with something in relation to legitimacy. I was also one of the original legal advisors to the C4C party. I publicly resigned because I felt unable to continue in that role in 2019. However, the PPRC is fully aware of how C4C was formed and the import of the diaspora in creating the C4C. And they are fully aware because we have been complaining, first of all, to the PPRC in around February of 2020 that there have been anti-party activities going on with people who ought to have removed themselves from office within 90 days or so soon thereafter as they could organize a convention, who have refrained from doing that, who have refused to form the National Coordinating Committee that should control things and lead us to convention and deal with discipline. And this cannot be allowed to happen. We have a constitution, that constitution works, and some of us know how to use it.
And let me bring you back quickly to this, Mr. Meziga, because there will be a school of thought out there, obviously, that will say what you're saying, sir, a reeks of hypocrisy, and it sounds like double standard, like you're saying one thing from one side of your mouth, and they say something else from the other side of your mouth. And the reason why I say this is, in what you just said, just now pertaining to the question why I ask you, it's like, well, you are in denial that such a thing, at least not to your knowledge, say you people them, in other words, party members them partake pan the disruption, alleged disruption of APC the constituency elections. But then you hold a press conference, and not only because you hold a press conference means that you are guilty, because I don't think that judgment has been made. But I want to draw your attention to, because before coming at the studio, I do a bit of a background research on the press conference on a whole, in which senior key members of the political party, including members of parliament in presence of the MP for constituency 029, Madam Rebecca Ye Kamara, and another MP, I go name one or two later, but she's on the record for saying, I saw with my own eyes, we own people, how they went to vote and how they were being disgraced. And she felt so bad that she shedded tears publicly in terms of that. What do you go say to that, Mr. Meziga?
Well, I understand why she shed tears, because some of us are very passionate about our party. And anybody who is supposed to be a member of this party and did what those people did, cannot deserve to remain in the party. So what I'm saying is, I cannot say that people didn't do what they are alleged to have done. They didn't do so with the agreement of this party and the party, and they did not do so under the ethos of the party that we set up, and which was registered in December of 2017 to contest the 2018 elections.
Okay, many thanks for that response. And let me just go over to the global chairperson, which again get a resonance of the question I asked Mr. Meziga. In other words, the idea, let me just answer Mr. Iskandri quick. Mr. Meziga, is it possible for you to get to Iskandri? They try for call. They try for call.
Dr. Iskandri appears to be on the program. I can see him on the general screen.
Yeah, he's come on the program. Yeah, so I don't know. Mr. Iskandri, can you hear us, sir? Mr. Iskandri? Okay, we need to get audio from him, and I hope
All right, I will try to reach him.
Yes, the studio, the studio technician, they receive the whatever and go get back again to Mr. Iskandri. That's fine. That will be dealt with. So, Mr. Fande, what the guys will say is like you party being quick, and that's kind of responsibility, if you like, for address the issues pertaining to the allegations levied against allegedly members of your party, because I think say we get for begin go by the alleged now. Okay, but you've been quick for address the issues then. And in terms of violence, in terms of interference or disruption and other people in party business. And then you come up for say, if that would have happened, if not true, you left space. Yes, una sorry about that, but the issue been so mounting that una decide for come out and hold a press conference. This problem what we talk about, is it anybody in your problem, anybody else, or not just una your problem, like a spillover na in the happen, where other people in the begin for feel waiting to happen within una party?
Okay, very good question. So clear. People that go intervene in the election of Kono, okay? Technically, they are C4C party members. They say they carry C4C card or C4C membership. But the fact remains that the people that would then go intervene in the election, in the APC election, this is a group of people that call themselves the Akune factor. The Akune means the head, okay? So these are people that align themselves with the defunct chairman Tabasandi, whether they are Samsuman and Camp, okay? These are the folks that are pushing for, of course, Samsuman to get the leadership in APC. But unfortunately, these are people that once belong to C4C. So when people then see them at this election, then quick for aligning to the C4C. That's the reason why we come out. And you're right, we had a press conference. The leadership, we are in the diaspora, as well as the leadership, for say this wasn't C4C. This wasn't our members. The core C4C members were not part of this. Okay, this is a breakaway group that belong to the Akune movement. Okay, if you know the politics of Kono, you understand what I talk. And people where they know, they know.
And this is where this is also hang on right there, because I think say this conversation here tonight is very important, because it get for go a long way, and you really get for forgive me. I want badge in a long time, but the idea that you asked me whether I understand the politics of Konogo make I understand a lot. No, I don't. And I believe say a lot of other people don't, and that make a badge in for ask waiting at this politics of Kono. And when una actually they determine say people have stopped being a member of a political party. When did you arrive at this conclusion? Like there's this division. Yes, some people then go. Do you have to renounce your membership, or just the idea that you follow another mean automatically that you're no longer a part of the other? Make we understand, please.
Well, since the former leader of C4C left, okay, there was a group that emerged where nine supporters them. And unfortunately for we the C4Cians, those are our previous members. Okay. We understand say even with current chairman where now gets registered at PPRC, where right now is injunction is applied. It was part of this. They went to Connaught to campaign and got involved into the C4C election. So yes, we did take the burden for say those are people that once belonged to us, and this is why we took up to the here to we talk to you today and talk to the press Africa for say okay, this you may but they are not members because these people they've left the party, okay, and joined this Akune movement. So in retrospect, we did make them clear to the Solinians and say then people then they were then gonna corner and go get involved into this. What they call themselves now, then people then say that C4C. So we the C4C diaspora and the C4C movement na salon. We they launch and investigate who are these folks. Okay, if we find out say these folks are still registered members of our party, they will apply the rules, will apply the punishment where so deserved. So we've got to investigate this and go into the core of it and actually what happened so we can go to the bottom line of it. But I tell you, when I say the politics of Connor, it remains the fact that we brother when as Smana, of course it don't go to IPC. It want to be the flag bearer in IPC. So they do everything possible for make people then get a kind of feeling say or people then believe say they have Connor wrapped up that the Connor is on Sansmana side or the Connor people they support them, which is not the case. That is not the case. Let them know that. So this is where we are. This is an
Okay.
unfortunate situation for us. Because you got a group of people that don't break away from we, but then at the same time, let's go off. We party and they make we look bad. And this is why we're here today. This is what we call a press conference. And we don't do it. We set up we NAC committee for making investigate this thoroughly and come up with some strong recommend to the entire C4C party what if for do with them people here when they go involved into this APC election.
Okay. Okay. Many thanks, sir. Mr. Iskandri, lawyer Iskandri, you hear me now, sir?
Yeah, you dey hear me?
Loud and clear. And I just want to let you hold your thoughts there because I know say you can't wait to get going. But massive welcome to you, and it's good to see you. You look well, and I'm really happy for see you and get you back again on the Then and Now program. Let me go on to Mr. Meziga before I come back to the interim chairperson. I agree from Mr. Fande regarding issues which are some in some regard technical in nature. In other words, a committee set up or will be set up. I want clarification on that, for the benefit of the listening public, because it's been a while. Has a committee been set up to investigate waiting the alleged accusation against Una is all about? Has a committee been set up, sir, or is it going to be set up? Which is which?
Within the constitution of C4C, we get a committee called NCC, the National Coordinating Committee. That the positions in that committee are generally set down by the constitution itself. Although there are some ad hoc positions and co-opted positions which can be selected by the national executive. The conundrum, the problem we will get now is that certain people they make allegation against are members of the executive. Those members of the executive.
Okay. So we don't lost the audio briefly from we guest Mr. Metzger London. So let's just shift on to the interim chairman. Mr. Metzger, we don't lost your audio. So I will just shift to the interim chairman. Mr. Interim Chairman, my first question to you, so unfortunately you missed the bigger part of the show, but not mean say we can't ask you this question. How did you become, the interim chairperson for this huge organization? I mean, politically speaking, Sierra Leone. How did you become the interim chairman? Provide me some context, please, sir, if you will.
Well, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
So I am not the interim chairman. I am the interim leader of the Coalition
Yeah,
for
interim leader. I'm
Change.
sorry. Thanks for the correction.
Um, Basically, what happened was, and I'm sure there are really different explanations of people. We form C4C and get with certificate for become a political party 3 months to the election, where we worked so hard to get 8 seats or 9 seats in Kono. But what we find out was that the erstwhile leader who was invited to join C4C, that is Sam Sumana, planned in a very selfish way to control the party and claim that it is a Kono party, a Sierra Leonean party. The bulk of our supporters are mostly in the Kono district, but it is a Sierra Leonean party, and I can't impress it more on the Sierra Leonean ethos of the party. But what you find out is one day, Sam Sumana sent me and Mr. Metziger an email, and I believe Mr. Fandi. He said, he don't decide for go back to APC. We cannot stop Mr. Sam Sumana from making the political choices that he feels comfortable making. But then also what we realize is that he strategically had, during the election process, had placed certain people in positions of authority within the C4C, so that those people will act as a poison pill to kill the C4C. And then he would be able to garner the votes that he had in Kona and use that as leverage to go to APC and say, well, una see, I'm now in controversy.
Okay. So I think again, Lawyer Iskandri is frozen there. So I'll go back again to okay, you're back, sir. Continue.
Yeah. We decide first, we say, these people, including Sam Sumana, is trying to play us. And we will not, and we must not allow this to happen. So again, we, the core group, reach out to the executives in Sierra Leone. We were the people that mostly financed the campaign. We were the people that mostly. Then we realized that after the election, people there in C4C, in the C4C in Sierra Leone, one for deny that. And C4C was not founded in Sierra Leone, it was founded by concerns of the diaspora. So we say, okay, well, we are peaceful people. Come on, let's meet and talk about this. We think we're.
Okay. We keep the Lucy audio in and out, but two quick things. They go on to Mr. Meddling, and then I go revert back to you, sir.
What we
Is
did,
it possible that your phone need to use for put them in a horizontal position? That one. Two, when I come back to you, I go allow you for continue where you've left out. And then I also want to ask you a question about the injunction brought against Mr. Samsumana, who did and why, even though Mr. Fande don't touch on that. Yeah, okay, horizontal, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I have
So with a
finished my
full
thought.
equally divided screen. Yeah, go ahead, sir, you say?
So I have to finish my thought,
Yeah, okay, then go ahead,
if
sir,
you
of course,
don't
why not?
mind.
Yeah.
So this, let's meet and confer with these people and see if we can resolve this situation as amicably as possible. Mr. Metzger and I went to the C4C office on Campbell Street, next to Benjamin. I forget the name of the street now. And basically, the then executive chairman of the national executive, Mr. Tambasandi, went into a room and hid himself and refused to meet with us. The other people that met with us were very good. One of the things they told us categorically our face was that members of C4C. Well, we get a say in the saloon. When you load an ungrateful boat, you na regret waf. Mr. Mega and I are lawyers. We decide, say, look, we not address them people there again. We take this issue to the court because we realize, say, there was a massive misuse of funds that were coming into the accounts of C4C. People, they refused to account for it. Now you have consideration that when we started C4C, it was to address the issues of corruption, lack of transparency, lack of justice, things that were wrong in Sierra Leone are still wrong in Sierra Leone. And we believe at C4C we have the ability, the manpower, and the willingness to address these issues to the satisfaction of every Sierra Leonean. Take them to court. The court gave us an, it was in our favor. They are injuncted, legally speaking, acting in any way in that shows that they represent C4C. When the court gave us that injunction, restraining their activities, we, the core group of C4C, decided that the restraint does not particularly affect us, it affects them, but we cannot operate this party in. So we decided to vote our membership for key positions, which is why we call these positions interim positions, because these interim positions are subject to change when we go for convention. That's how come I became the interim leader. Now, you want to know any other facts other than the fact that I have the biggest mouth in the party? Well, that's about as best as I can tell you.
Okay, Iskandri, many thanks for that clarification. Like I said again earlier on, it's been very important for them clarification there because that includes myself. Should I engage any other person on the other side of the argument? At least I'll be speaking from a position of strength based on waiting a one challenge, but at least I get some argument for established say. But I've heard from the lawyer himself, and not only from him out, but it spell out terms of references which we can refer to as to the legality and the bona fides of you and others na the party. I'm a little bit confused here, Mr. Medziga. So there are a few questions for you here. One, like lawyer Iskandri say, injunction was brought on the party, but also they understand say the erstwhile chair, Mr. Sam Sumana, they also injunct him. Is that true? Was an injunction brought against Sam Sumana, sir? Okay, I think Mr. Mesga is frozen. Wow, what a
Okay,
portrait.
Mr. I noticed that.
Yeah, he's frozen. He's frozen. Yeah.
Let me
Mr.
address
Fande.
that. The
Yeah,
injunction,
of course, yeah. I want some
injunction,
legal, take on this.
the injunction does not affect Sam. Mana is no longer a member of C4C. He has resigned from C4. So the injunction has no effect on him. He was not a party to the lawsuit that was filed asking for a restraining order.
Okay. Okay. So why is he then appearing to be in the center of this legal wrangling? Because after all, he already don't move on. I believe he tendered in a resignation letter to a committee or to the C4C party sometime at the beginning of last year. Why is he so much, I can understand in a different sense, but legally speaking, how, he follower them seem for the whole the party to some kind of a ransom. That's for you again, Lawyer Iskandri.
That that's the $100,000 question we need to. It is, why is it that he doesn't want to move on? And the reason why he doesn't want to move on is because he erroneously believes that he can use C4C as a bargaining chip to get leadership in the APC, which is why he formed the Akune movement, which is a movement that was formed with the intent to make APC, make him the leader of the APC. That way, he can bring in the rest of C4C in. But what Sam Sumana has failed to understand
Yeah, but that's largely
is that the
theoretical,
people,
backed by circumstances, I suppose. Nothing really hard,
well,
Lawyer Iskandri.
as a as a as
As in terms of
a
what you just
trial,
theorized, that the formation of the Akune movement and the reason why
as a
yes,
as
sir.
as a trial lawyer, let me finish. As
Yeah.
a trial lawyer, I can win or lose a case based on things that's not direct. So all I'm saying is that when you look at certain facts and you analyze the facts, you can be able to come to a conclusion if you're an intelligent person. What we have in this case is a man who wants to hold, has the intent to hold, but does not have the intellectual capacity to hold to ransom. And that's what
Wow.
I'm saying.
That's quite a statement there. That's quite a statement there, sir. I think Mr. Meziga is back. I'll just move on to run quickly. And Mr. Meziga, here's the point that I want to bring country. We lost you there briefly. But it's obvious that I ask you a similar question, and I like for twist and put questions back in terms of this mounting evidence against people. And because this is the clarification where I believe say C4C one said today, say we as C4C not get anything for do with that disruption of APC constituency election that we have been accused of. This, I believe, say this
Absolutely.
is what the party they set out for do. But in terms of mounting evidence, growing evidence, including something I mentioned to you briefly before we lost you, regarding officials in presence of members of parliament, your members of parliament, alluding to I saw, and you're a legally minded person, I saw with my own eyes, and this is one of yours. But I don't want to dwell on that too much in the sense that the way I want to ask the question is in the end, you're setting up a committee for find out what really went wrong. Waiting, I want to know what would be the consequences. This is something where we can deliberate on, like if people were found to be wanting, those accused really belong to your party.
Yes, thank you.
Will there be consequences? And if there are, what would be those consequences, Mr. Mesga?
Well, anybody will know what we party
Thank you,
stand
sir.
for and at least get some small familiarity with we constitution. No say we Article 15 deal with issues like this. So there are different things that can happen. You can reprimand somebody, you can suspend somebody, you can expel somebody. And I think all political parties get that. But politics is about numbers. If people are willing to work together under the same banner, there is no reason why you go kick them out. You will reprimand them. But this is a serious infraction of the political rules. And the PPRC themselves must be looking with eagle eyes
Go
and
ahead.
saying, C4C, can you stand and watch this happening? So I think it is a very serious offense. Let me pause for a moment and deal with what you said about Honorable Rebecca and the tears she said, and say, I saw with my own eyes. The fact
Yeah.
that she is an MP for C4C, a member
Go
of
for it. Yeah.
C4C, cannot stop her from being a witness. She is telling us what she saw. But ultimately, a committee will have to make the decision based on the evidence that is given to them. That committee will have to weigh all the evidence, and it will have to say, we find these allegations proved. Number one, we find them not proved. If they are not proved, it's the end of the story and nobody should mention them ever again. If they are proved, well, then they have a list of things that can be done to instill discipline or to hold the discipline of C4C utmost. And that is what we would expect the NCC to do.
Yeah, let's just double down on this, Mr. Meziga, because whilst I understand what you say, but I believe say the word of a sitting MP it carry enough weight. Of course, the benefit of the doubt has to be given, even though I not believe in a criminal issue as at this time. But the idea in what carry enough weight, and not only in, there is also councillors and one or two other MPs, and I can name another name because I can say due diligence before I come into this. Honorable Musa Fofana, a name that will be
Yeah.
familiar to you,
Oh,
constituency
yes.
023. It's also
That's
on
right.
the record for corroborating what Madam Kamara say. So this is going to be a difficult choice for me because it seems like all internal, not to anything the way other people and they pretend from the outside. This seems more like an internal problem, Mr. Mezga.
Well, the fact is there has been a problem within the C4C party by people, and that's been ventilated here. You've heard about those issues. And the internal problems will be dealt with internally. But sometimes there's a certain amount of leakage, you know? And that's what we've had here. And people are human beings. The fact that you're a minister or the president or the wife of the president does not mean you cannot hold personal views. It does not mean you cannot tell the public what you saw. And this is exactly what has happened. When we come to a decision making body such as the NCC or disciplinary body set up by the NCC to consider all these facts, everybody will enter the chamber or the virtual space where that consideration is being given as equals. Whether you're an MP, whether you're a visiting delegate, whatever it is, you will enter as equal with the person who stands accused of committing what some people would say are atrocities. But how they leave the room may be different depending on what they have said and the evidence that is heard.
Okay. Many thanks. I want to go to Mr. Fandi and a very critical question, and I believe something quite important and germane to this conversation. But before I go there, I'll just make quick announcements. Fambul, and for those of you who are watching, I share the good news that I almost want to dedicate the week to C4C in the sense that we're there at a crossroad. Now we've been at this point, a couple of times for different reasons and different, like context. And this is one of those times. So we also there at a crossroad as at this time. And C4C is heavily in the middle of this crossroad. So I almost want to call them a C4C week. So the announcement here is Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, Mr. Emerson Lamina, and I repeat, this coming Tuesday, Mr. Emerson Lamina will be on this platform. So please share the good news. Also on the platform for this week will be footballer Musa Tumbo. Musa Tumbo will be on the platform this week. So let me not forget two major programs. And the third one will be, say there's a story that's gone viral, a video that's gone viral on social media, in which a particular platform interviewed a journalist from the Republic of Liberia regarding illicit money in the northern part of Sierra Leone, Dana Kailan, which is bordering the Republic of Liberia. That video was quite telling, and that journalist, Mr. Mo Brooks, will be on this platform. So keep tuned. Don't touch that dial. This is the then and now, the place USA you go get unfettered information, no spin, just real substance. But for today, we host 3 members of the C4C political party, the 3rd largest political party in the country, in presence of lawyer Iskandri, Ali Iskandri, and chairperson, Mr. Iafande, and the UK&I chairman, Mr. Kelvin Metziger. And the program continues. Like I said, I want to ask Iafande a question. Mr. Fande, here's the question. It comes in a different form, but the same thing, because I try for project some kind of an understanding as to where we are and how we find ourselves outside we day. So, Mr. Sam Sumana officially resigned from the party he wants to in political goal, in political career, implicit that waiting he look at or look for, he can't get an inside C4C. So in good faith he go, and I believe say the party the party give him blessing. Say okay. But that goal will not seem for day in good faith, because he still get a card where they try for play within the party. And that is causing the internal rancor we they kind of see. The question to you, Mr. Fande, is in terms of when he go, because of in clout, in figure, he go with a lot of people, but then a lot of people and they seem like lost, if I may describe it in that way, because they haven't left you completely. They are hoping to still be a part and parcel. The question, Mr. Fande, when do those people become null and void within the C4C? Do they renounce their identity and say, I'm no longer part of this? Or just by default, that then go with the chair, that automatically make them lose their membership?
Well, this is a just like Kevin explained just now. This is a problem that we have. The bottom line is these folks did not officially denounce the membership from C4C, but just like Ali also explained, this is a plan. Is to help C4C as an hostage and use as a leverage for justify the Akune movement and justify for sure the APC and say, okay, Samsumana, they very well entrenched in Akono, is so popular. Look, who they don't bring. This is the problem. So they wanna hold this party, and that's the reason why we're in court, because we can't go to court for say, listen, I mean, you guys, okay, you want to move on with the Akune movement, you want to move on with Sam. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your right, as your lineage. But leave this party alone. Resign from where you are. The councillors, the chairman will get right now, Tamba Sandy, and others. That is gonna resign. Una officially resign. So una turn over the party. So we will found the party in the diaspora. We want for restructure party, so we move on. This is the primary reason why we're in court. To flush out these individuals because they have no good intent for C4C. And we don't realize that. We don't come to that realization that they have no good intent. And with time, hopefully the courts will rule soon. We'll go flush them out. We'll get them out and get people in place that really believe in the movement of C4C, believe in our in what our aims and objectives are, believe in the core foundation of C4C, and we'll move this party to the next level. But this is the unfortunate part of it. They don't want to for left. They don't want for left the party, but they want for hold on to this. They want for use them as a leverage. For sure, the APC people can say, "Oh, we got so much clout in Akone." That they are not, So if they're so popular in Akone, why don't you resign and move independently? Why all C4C on hostage? So this is the reason why we're in court. This is the reason why we'll get this injunction in place. So so we'll get these people out of the way. So we'll take over party and move the party to the next level. So to answer your question, yes, these folks they've not actually resigned.
Many thanks here. And let's just shift gear a little bit, Iskandri. Probably this is on a basis of principle. I mean, in terms of the position we want to take. Because looking at the body politic now, the country, even though you are the 3rd largest force with 8 parliamentary seats and councillors were constituted, respect, numbers are still, far, far less. Forget that major impact, except you team up with somebody else. And it does seem like the opportunity here lies. Now, make a column a basis of principle, maybe. It does seem like you get for team up with somebody else for let you get that major impact. And it looked like Samsumana presents that opportunity there, if you will like. In that regard, are you not looking like going on with him, or you want to go on with him on your own terms and not being hijacked, by somebody where obviously from which I hear from the three of Una, this is the intent for say, okay, I still hold this political party and I go bring them come along with me. And people like Una are saying, no, this is not going to be the case. Even if we were to go, again, for be on we own terms and condition, no longer you.
Can you guys hear me?
Did you
Can
get
you
what
hear
say,
me?
sir? Yeah, loud and clear. Did you get what they try for develop? Okay. So I shift to Mr. Metzger. I will come back to you, Lawyer Iskandri. And I believe say I've been seeing you
I
shake
can hear
the head
you.
and the rest of it. So I believe say you didn't follow
I
me,
can hear you.
Mr. Metzger. Did you?
Mhm. Yes, I heard what you said, but I think Dr. Iskandri can't hear you. I was just trying to tell him to try the refresh button because that's what worked for me when I froze the last time. Well, how I will put on? As far as I'm concerned, Chief Samsumana left on good terms with us. He said he was going, and he was going to further his own personal ambition. Because, I mean, one can understand that. You don't want to wait for C4C maybe to develop into something strong if you want to become the next president of the country. And he left on such terms that I believe that, having worked together, he might, having reached the apex of opposition in another political party, well, in this case, the All People's Congress Party, he might reach out to us and say, right, now we have a chance of winning. Will you coalesce with me? And we might say yes, or we might say no. But the point is, we can only do that from an independent basis. We cannot do that if people are left in, if you like, as ticking time bombs, waiting to explode the party or something like that. Now, people in our talk say, when you go APC, you go with a lot of people. Well, if you go with a lot of people, then people are enough for remain as C4C. As far as I understand, you cannot really be a member, especially a member serving on the executive of one political party and be a member of another political party. That is not permitted in Sierra Leone. I know we have multi-party politics, but it's meant so that different people can join different parties. Not one person for join many parties and decide which one they want. So for me, and I think for all of us here, however we put it, we understand that C4C is not just a brand, it's an ethos. It is a seed that is meant to germinate in the hearts of the whole of Sierra Leone, not just the Kono region. And that's why when we embarked on a feeding program for our people, when COVID struck last year, around the time when Ramadan was also on, we didn't just feed our people in Kono. We tried to spread it across the whole country. We divided up 4 regions and we did our best to give a little token to people to assist with the struggles that they were having. We will never operate
Many
because
thanks,
our whole
Mr.
intent is
Metzger.
to bring Sierra Leone together.
We quickly come towards the end of this program, but we get a small more couple of minutes, and I believe those minutes are quite important in wrapping up this program. I just go back quickly to Lawyer Iskandri. Obviously, the party has a mandate, sir. It gets a mandate. That mandate seems for the under question now with this confusion where they on go between X and Y. Now, this one political entity. I like the way Mr. Meziga put on, to be honest, because there is a focus how to bring the country together and make progress for the people. do you think you've let your membership down in terms of waiting to happen? And if this is the case, how do you intend for remedy this situation, Lawyer Iskandri, as the interim, big man?
No, we have not let our membership down. As a matter of fact, our actions so far been uplifting of our membership. The teach we membership say, if you get a disagreement, first you try for resolve that in as amicable a manner as you can. You cannot resolve it in that amicable manner, then you resort to the court system. Because again, we at C4C believe that the law of the land is supreme. And if we get a disagreement with people and it's not working out for us, we go court. So, no, not let our people down. We have done nothing to be ashamed of at C4C. As a matter of fact, we've done everything to be very. Now, so there's nothing to go back tell them. All we are saying is that take Sierra Leone by storm. This time, many no believe, say, a third party go take over power and alone. Well, now because una no know the caliber of people them way they na C4C. And me they tell una say, sooner or later, C4C is gonna be a household name in Sierra Leone. It's gonna change the country. We need forget a country. Get just much the same right as gentleman. We need forget the country. Man go not. He go get justice like who that get money. Get a country where the justice system works for everybody equally. We need to get a country where we people them when they sick, they can go to hospital and then get the medication or the diagnosis where they're supposed to get, rather than we get a country we government buy Toyota Pradas or Prados or whatever they call them for people where they run around in on government time and on government money. Now government they pay them the petrol for them or gas. We need some changes. I just give you a highlight of a few things that we need. We need to get control of we natural of 99
Okay, Lawyer Iskandri, I will
create
come
an
back to that
environment
because
in
this
Sierra
sounds more
Leone.
like campaign mode, but definitely the latter part of this
But
segment
but
was committed and
it is
dedicated to that
campaign mode.
particular thing. And you and Kevin, when I don't touch on that briefly, but I'm coming right back to that. That's what we're going to use for wrap up the program. In other words, the
Okay.
achievements, the expectations, the goals of the C4C, in which you speak of it, hopefully going to be a household name if it is not already, as the third political force. Mr. Fande, thank you for your
But you didn't
patience
let
as the
me
key lawyer
finish.
that
You didn't let me
talk.
finish, Mr. Koma.
Yeah, because
And I don't
I
like
got
to
to there
have
for
my
ask you
thoughts
inside the
hanging.
short minutes they will left because it advocate you.
All
I
right.
want like you a gist. I want to know your opinion, legally speaking, of the denomination issue. I want to know about that. I want to know about the Kamarimba issue. Okay, from a legal perspective. I want to know about the how you call Francis Ben Kaifala and in court the ACC on a few issues, legally speaking. So I get a lot what I want to ask you about by this particular program. Now I make at the safe time so I will able to forget you on that because I know undoubtedly Lawyer Iskandri, your man, you speak very well, sir. Yeah. Just quickly, the party is divided. That is a yes by every measure of the word division, divided. Okay, it seems some people are still emotionally tied to the party, and some people are lost. We can make them biblical. You know, I mean, some people are lost, the lost sheep. They don't know which way for go, but the onus they on you for try for bring the lost sheep back home. The reason why I say this and try for draw this analogy surely come to this. You know, despite the actions of some, way some of the words here used here tonight is like there is a growing division and deliberate attempt on the part of some people for cripple this party, in other words, for even kill them. Will you be reconciliatory if it come to that point? They say, well, I mean, if people then come and ask for forgiveness, they will be brought back home. They will be accepted and, you're hugged and forgiven. Will that be the case? Should it turn out for be that way, Mr. Fande?
Oh, definitely. Just like Kevin said, we have no quarrel with nobody. Trust me. We will begin C4C. We are peaceful people. We work quietly, but effectively and efficiently. Okay. If you can record Mr. Chroma, last election, you could tell, say, the C4C was very quiet but resilient. You know, BRE would make a lot of noise, but look at the results. Look at the end result. We're not the third largest party them. Now we're not the third largest party in parliament, in the country. Okay, so we're not boastful and bluffed around, but we know who to get. We know the kind of people that we'll get, and trust me, we are peaceful people. We have no quarrel with anybody. You know, the bottom line is we cannot allow few individuals for distress C4C just because they get an intent for make them go propel their political career somewhere else. We're not going to allow that. That's the bottom line. But if somebody feel like they want to come back home, they're welcome. And this party is open to all Syrians. Just like Ali said, this is not a Kono party, as people in the brand as a Kono party. No, this is a Syrian party. The leadership of C4C right now, the current leaders of C4C is made up of different tribes, as I said earlier. So I want everybody to understand, we're not in fight nobody, we're not in crowd nobody, we are peaceful people, but we believe in a cause, just like Aliu said. You know, I was in Freetown like a couple months ago, and I was on AYV, and I told the guy who interviewed me, I said, listen, you know, yeah, right now C4C might be a small party. It might be within our infancy stage. We know they question that. We know so we are small. We know so we are new. We are new. The history of C4C, if you look at the history of C4C, this it will tell you say this party, this particular feature is not alone. You look at what we did last election. We registered 2 months before the general elections, and we won 8 seats. That should tell you something about this political party. Okay, there's a lot of talent behind this party, and a lot of people that wouldn't know how to do things behind this political party. So I tell the guys, I say, listen, we may not win the presidency the next election, maybe not even the next one coming down the road. But I believe in the future of Salon. I believe in the young generation. I believe in the social media generation. Time will come. These two political parties that have ruled Salon for 60 summer years or 60 years, they will say enough is enough. Some of us were not born, they don't start to rule Salon, except people APC. Who grandpa then joined them, who papa then joined them. Now we on turn. How long will they for this? So there was gonna be a time where people then will say enough is enough. And me believe say C4C is well positioned to take power in Salon, you know, with years to come. You know, so yes, so we're, you know, to answer your question, we've got no crowd, nobody. We're peaceful people. This leadership with the CISO, now we made up of people that were very peaceful, respectful in the community. So anybody say they want to come back and join we, they're welcome to come back. But if somebody want to use we and distress C4C, no, we're not going to allow that. And that's why we're proving this to everybody. You know, for
So
say
one quick
South
question on
Sudan is
that
not
basis,
C4C.
there.
Because
One quick question on that basis, there, Mr.
yes,
Fande, is, you know, some people them now noise nine and can make na the background, real noise nine and can make na the background. On the foreground, where issues of substance are being discussed, the real issues are being discussed, they are nowhere. So the thing I want to contribute to this in the form of a question is, when it comes to in terms of the law, how confident are you that you're on the right side of history, on the right side of the law, in terms of all the challenge there and things them way they try to distract the party?
Oh, very confident. Very much so. If we not believe in this, we not put up this fight. If we not believe in
Okay.
this, Ali is there, Kevin is there, and there's a lot of other people that are working with us that believe in this cause, that believe in the right of what we're doing. They believe, say, at the end of the
Okay.
day, we'll win this fight. We're not violence. We're not going to take stone and throw up at people in salon. The people that have for the party, what do? We're not court. We're not the judiciary. For me, then go rule. Say,
Yeah.
okay, many rules say whether now we get it right or not get it wrong. If not, then get it right. Then we will say, okay, this no brothers that we should all talk. If not get it right, they won't come into it, we should talk. But they will
Brilliant.
believe in this cause. We strongly believe at the end of the day we're gonna win this fight because we are not selfish. When we open this party up, we invite people who can join with good intent. But then some of them get a ulterior motive, and those motives is to destroy this party, and we're not going to let that happen. C4C is not for one individual.
Sir, we lost his country there, but lawyer Kevin is here with us. But not on the legal issue, more politically speaking, sir. You've been in parliament now for 3 or 4 years. Elections are looming. And I know say you say something earlier on, which was more like Mr. Meziga speaking in terms of achievements of the party. 3, 4 years in parliament, what can you boast of? What can you show? What can you tell the Sierra Leonean people about you kind of achievement them during them 3, 4 years in parliament? And waiting you una intend for do as a party, what you una intend for tell the Sierra Leonean people for continue for have trust and confidence in the C4C way elections then they come so they can renew their confidence in UNA and probably make UNA the third largest or second largest in this case.
Well, the change in coalition for change actually means something because not change with the type of win. In 3 or 4 years, as the smallest of the main parties or the largest of the smaller opposition parties, we believe, say, we don't get quite a lot of improvements. For example, in the constituency where Honorable Rebecca de Walk, in the constituency where Honorable Simon Lamina de Walk and Musa Fofana, there have been developments in those areas. Our parliamentarians have fought for things to happen. Our parliamentarians that follow the way we think have fought for a university in Kono, which was effectively an election promise by this government. And indeed, I think it was election promised by the previous government. But now, we don't begin talk about anything and things that don't begin happen on the ground. Bearing in mind we're so small, we don't make a lot of difference. We also get different programs then. I'm glad the way Dr. Eskandri don't come because it will tell you, say, we don't think about ways in which we can help, not just basically the well-being of people by feeding them, the well-being of people then by looking at their health and how they can live lives in a better way, how they can be checked in general terms for say, a person where they get high blood pressure, sometimes you can get warning. If somebody check on quick, you go able to live a better and easier life. Somebody where they get diabetes, there are ways in which just speaking to people can improve their diet, test them, and make them look how they live their life. All these are things that we've been thinking about. We've been thinking about, for example, the way in which we can improve education, not simply by providing free education, as this government has sought to do, because everything that comes with education in we part of the world, it get back to pana, because the beginning get for eat. Sometimes they not get food. They get forget books then get forget uniform, even if the school not get uniform. And we get issues there with private lessons and so on and so forth. The only way we're going to improve the standard of education is if we invest more heavily into education. If we able for, allow the people to get more ways in which the beginning can get access to books and going through the educational strata from primary school to go up na university. So these are just a few things that I can talk about now because I know the time short. I can tell you in we manifesto for the 2018 elections, we will talk about building development across the country. One factory, one district, one business in every district. We go at least bring work to the people them. We go bring skills to the people them and bring income to the people. So you don't just depend on one area. We look again at our extractive industries, for example. And as Dr. Iskandri talked before, how we can address the manifest unfairness in terms of ratio between what we continue to produce and what the people that they get. What goes back in? So I don't want to talk too much. I don't see the time short. If you want me to expand on any of the ideas, yeah, I'm happy for do so. But let us stop for now.
Definitely, they look forward for bring you come on again because I'm kind of excited, by the way you've performed in this interview and the scarcity of time, so we're not able to address core issues there. But definitely, like I say, happy for getting you the first time on the platform, and hopefully you did quite near me now, so arrangements can be made for every more of your philosophy and your theory, if you will like, as to how you see Sierra Leone and the party. Dr. Iskandri, here we are, so we come towards the end. I know one for think how you they think, what you they think, but I want to throw this at you in terms of how you see the, because I've spoken to you many a times, and I do know that you're a man, yeah, when they mince you words, you don't sit on the fence, gloves is off any day you're ready, you're here for a good, healthy conversation that I can give to you. And at that, the premise of this question I will ask, or this opinion I will render, is based on that. What do you think about the state of your country right now, owing to all the background waiting we don't hear for the last 3-4 years, whether or not the redenomination, whether or not the fight against corruption, whether or not new airport, whether or not bakery? What's your opinion, sir? Give me some perspective because we haven't spoken to you on the dinner now for quite a long time.
If Sierra Leone were a human being, it would be in the ICU with tubes down his or her throat and oxygen being fed into their lungs. Let me tell you, Salone need good leadership. Which we don't get in Salone so far. Now, rulers, everybody they can rule. The people of Sierra Leone do not need to be ruled. Rulership is for kings. Kings then they rule. Not to, in a democracy, we need leadership. Waiting, I don't see Nasalone so far. Make a catalog some of them for you. We get highest mean annual rainfall in the whole of West Africa. But yet still, we have to import rice, which is our staple food. When I was a child at Cathedral Boys School and all the primary schools that I went to, Tawail and all of that, one of the things I learned was that Sierra Leone exports rice. Now that I've become a grown man, I realize that Sierra Leone now imports rice. I have been to Asia, Thailand, and all these places where they import rice from. We get a better climate than them. We get a better rainfall than them. We get a better soil than them. What we need now government leadership in maximizing production of our staple food rice so that we can export it to them. You talk about in the 60s, Asia, Thailand did not have palm trees. They had coconut trees, not palm trees. Guess who gave them peace? Sierra Leone. Guess who is the largest producer of palm oil in the world now? Some 50, 60 years later, Thailand. I want to make you take Dandy and think about it for a minute. That we gave our our something that's unique to our country to somebody else. They made better use of it than we did. Now, I don't mention about currency denomination because I'm not an economist, but I know that the value of we currency depends on the value of we gross domestic. Much I understand. Sister Medica mentioned about we goals and aspirations of one factory. I say that's just a basic one factory in one district. We are looking at the possibility of creating a totally different industrial production in Sierra Leone. We should be able to grow the food we eat and sell the excess of it. We should be able to dam the rivers that we and create a grid that will supply the industries, and we can do that. We can dam the Sewa River, we can dam the River Taya, we can dam the Rokel River upstream, we can dam the Bankatsuka, which we have already done, we can dam the Great and Little Scarces, which we must do, that's on the border, because in order to sustain an increase in production and factory production, we have to have the power grid to sustain. I normally tell people this. In Sierra Leone, outside of Sierra Leone, we have Sierra Leoneans who are very, very brilliant people. So one day I was arguing on a debate platform, and you know what I did? I went on and I researched machines. You know, I live in California, but I researched production machines that you can use to make microchips. I can tell you that if government makes it possible for a group of Sierra Leoneans to come to Sierra Leone and create a microchip manufacturing facility, by not by giving them the money, but by providing for them the and covering that loan, administering that loan, we could have one of those things going up. If you go to Sierra Leone right now, this present government has almost every other board is about sanitary pads, women and young girls. But guess what? We do not have a factory in Sierra Leone manufacturing sanitary pads. Now you would think that with the government's emphasis on sanitary pads, one of the things they would do is say we need to have a factory that manufactures pampers, sanitary pads, adult pampers, everything like that, because we can sell that across West Africa. I always tell people this. There is a machine that makes solar panels. There are Sierra Leoneans that have the knowledge and the technology to be able to do that. There's a man called Vidal Smith, who's an engineer. He's retired right now. I would love to bring that man out of retirement and hand him a project when C4C gets to that level where we can be able to.
Dr. Eskandri, you get for forgive me. We don't rapidly run out 1 or 2 more minutes for every one of you now for do a wrap up. I knew it when I asked you the question, and I wish I had enough time, but I'm glad at the same time, because now you last joined the program, the policy of equal time, at least I can still, knock me chest for that. Say, Dr. Eskandri will make up for the time missing. But definitely you will need for come back, sir, because we need for talk about these things. Then, like I say, we country there at a crossroad. Mr. Fande, What are you most proud of about the C4C over the period of time from information to Usawi Day? And how optimistic are you going into the future? Elections looming, and pretty soon the major elections will day upon us. And I ask you this question, I want to keep on at the background because few people and say things in the chat room, like for example, the 8 seats the way you win the last time, could it have been largely due to Sam Sumana? Minus Sam Sumana, will you be able to do what you do? Of course, this is not somebody in sentiments in the chat room, but they can or the premise they around that. And I want to recognize Mr. Komba Moses Mbayo, where a name will be familiar with some of Una. A brand name is always crucial, and this is what he's saying. The question is, why was someone else not chosen to lead then? Withdrawals are almost always messy everywhere. Okay, maybe we understand what they say. But largely, what they say, Mr. Fande, is how optimistic are you, sir, with C4C going into the future? And then when a talisman don't go, can somebody fit into those shoes? Can Dr. Iskandri fit into those shoes? He's quite a tall man, a big man as well. Very, very charismatic, but can he fit into those shoes?
Definitely, we got a lot of people in the C4C that can fit in perfectly. Um, Kombabayo happens to be me uncle, me my my small brother, one that I know that I know that right that. But anyway, let me just say something. On a serious note, Prince, the fact is we got a lot of people that with this C4C that will fit in the shoes. I have no doubt. We got plenty talent in them. Um, One of them now, Mr. Iskandar we talk to right now, all on the same platform, is one of them. I have no doubt, that it can lead this party and take it to the next level. We'll get Honorable Lamina na Salon. Will somebody like Dande, you get a bright future in sociology and politics. We'll get Kevin, where they're on the platform with you today. You know, Kevin is very charismatic. We'll get a lot of talent and promising leaders. Here's a fact: the next election will not just win the seats in Akone, we will likely win all the seats in Akone because I tell you, regardless of all what's going on, and these people know that the APC and the SLPP and the Akune movement knows that for say C4C is extremely popular in Akone. Okay, and that's the reason why people then say C4C is not an Akone party, but it's not that. It's our base. Every political party have a base. The SLPP, of course, their base is in the south, right? And then the APC in the north. So we, now the eastern region, this is where our base is, Kono. So we're not ashamed of that, So everybody knows, and the true player in politics now, Kono, they're very much aware of the fact that C4C is very, 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 very popular. Okay, and I cannot emphasize that. So I'm not gonna promise you anything because that's what happened last election. I get people in at NGC, I get friends in ISLPP, now APC where they call me and make fun of me. They say, hey, boy, when I say, when I can't join we, you two, now just don't get, when not even get symbol self, they'll get symbol. But when I come out, now go in 1 or 2 seats. I say, okay. We end up winning 8 seats. So, it's fine for the people that undermine you, that you overperform. This is what C4C is about. And me believe the next election will win more seats, and not just in Kono now, but in other areas as alone. You just watch. You will come back and say, okay, Mr. Fande, predict this. So I have no doubt. I have no doubt. Say, Sansmana is good and well. We wish him luck. Okay, but I tell you, with or without Sansmana, C4C survived, and C4C will be. In fact, right now we are. Um,
All right, it's
promise
buffering there. We get
of the,
bandwidth.
the leaders that we have to the next elections and be.
Okay. Many thanks, Mr. Fande. Mr. Metzger, do you share similar optimism? Do you share the sentiments of Mr. Fande, the C4C, of course, third major political party, but with the man we then consider largely having helped the party to the height that it is so now, having left? Do you share the sentiments of Mr. Fande? How optimistic are you, sir?
I definitely share Mr. Fande's sentiment. I would like for just kind of adjust the platform we were on a little bit, because we talk about shoes and filling Chief Samsumana's shoes. But you will recall what Dr. Iskandri said about the country needing leadership. You have heard another leader speak, that's Ayafande himself. There are many of them in C4C. But you see, if you have leaders who can work together and create a leadership, you're creating something that's better for the country. So we're not looking to fill the same shoes. We're looking to fill different shoes. We're looking to have different styles of shoes, which will suit the purpose of politics in the country. And yes, watch this space. We can get more seats there. We can win more seats there. Now, side the way people know we expect. I know I'm pulling secret yet, but elections are a stressful time. We didn't have enough time the last time, and yes, we did perform very well in Kono. There were dynamic issues involving Samsumana, but that wasn't the be all and end all of everything. The Kono people were tired, and C4C came with hope, and they grabbed the hope with both hands. And we will grab that hope with the people of Kono and take it to the rest of the country. Thank you.
Because that was your 2-minute wrap up, and you do one below the 2 minutes. So that tempts me for ask you on the note of that opt-in day, the fact that this internal run go on within the party, which means that you get issues for the first place, while other people that were already there together will be making headways, if you understand what you mean. Will that not deter you, for be ahead of the race or begin for conjure up and achieve what you set out for do, other than you get for begin deal with the A15 the way they before inside your party before you begin for move on? Is that not going to slow you back?
Well, it be for help if we not get any kind of problem today. But any finely tuned athlete with a train well will tell you, say, if you enjoy yourself, you get medical people, you get the nutritionist, you get the physio them where they help you. You know the term where you get for go perform. You go do all what you take for make sure say you there in good condition the term where you get for perform. And C4C will be finely tuned. This aberration, this lily for them where you say we creep foot or whatever we they try for heal. We go do them by God in power. After all, when we go court, the first thing that happen is the people that will go court, they say, them people are so not a member of the party self. We not get for answer them. I went to court in December. On the 12th of December last year, we went to court to respond to that, and their objection to our case was kicked out of court. So, we're very confident in our case. We hope that people will try to shorten the procedure by not drawing it out in a long way. But we're ready to operate on all levels, legal level, political level, and educational level, any kind of level we need to. People level, we are ready to operate right now because we need to get going for the next elections. And we will do it.
Many, many thanks. And I won't hesitate to say this, you actually fit the part. You sound like the political operator. You can talk and play the part. I must say that, you're on live TV. Dr. Iskandri, finally, sir, here we've come to the end of this good, brilliant conversation. The thing here is, Dr. Iskandri, is the party obviously got division like most political parties in a key political date where they come up, in other words, elections before major elections. But as expressed by other two members of this panel, the degree of optimism is unbelievable. But they on top of the party right now. How optimistic are you? Or same question, you share the sentiment of both Mr. Kevin Metzger and Mr. Iafande, that C4C will even perform more better, and C4C is here to stay. And waiting at the achievements that we're most proud of over the last 3-4 years of the existence of this party, both within and outside of Parliament.
Well, you see, Mr. Cromer, you have asked me multiple questions, which we lawyers call questions. If I try to break them down, it'll take me more than 2 minutes. But let me tell you, In terms of optimism, listen, if you get a political entity with 3 months before election with 8 seats in the diamond-rich areas of Sierra Leone, I'm telling you, the people of Sierra Leone are receptive and ready to listen to a message of change. We need in Sierra Leone a country where being born there because of a different race does not make you any less Sierra Leonean. We change the laws in Sierra Leone that say if you Papana half caste or Lebanese, you cannot be a Sierra Leonean. You understand? We need to change that law. We need to make sure that our policies would include and involve people getting paid a livable wage so that you know what get for day you now I talked to somebody when a colonel in the Sierra Leone army, I think, or major or somebody like that. She it's a he earns only $260 a month, the equivalent of it. We need to change these things. Come on now. We need to make sure that people don't earn $50 a month, the United States $50 a month for 1 month of work. This is wrong. This is morally wrong. We need to make sure that our professionals are given the tools to do their work. We get good people in at the police department. It's just that they are badly trained. And when we talk about police corruption, let me tell you, if you pay the policeman enough money for letting them able to live decently, they're not going to be corrupt, or we go minimize corruption. I see you mentioned Francis Ben Kaifala and ACC. It's interesting that you did that because Francis is my friend. We don't always agree, but he's my friend. And let me tell you something. I think the ACC sucks. I think the ACC has been used as a tool by different governments, not including this one, to go at political opponents and protect the people that are in power. I think Francis Ben Kaifala has been used by this government, and they would not understand that until they dump him and abuse him. So let's go past that. I think we need to have a government where if I were president of Sierra Leone, I will appoint someone from the opposition to be the ACC commissioner, someone that has no allegiance to me. So I'll tell him, this is your mandate. If you find, say, me, the president, the thief, or me wife, the thief, you better indict and prosecute, otherwise I'll fire you. Because let me tell you something. When you set a good example, people follow it easily. Now let's leave anti-corruption alone. Let's come to the everyday life of people in Sierra Leone. You could believe, say, if there is a criminal act done against you, the Sierra Leone police not get the wherewithal for investigate and prosecute. You know how many people they not kill in a saloon where it don't left as we say in a saloon? C4C comes with intellectuals in different areas of professionalism. We will bring everything that we've learned overseas and in Sierra Leone better for Sierra Leone. Again, I don't want to take too much time, but you ask about my level of estim with whether it's at par with my comrade at arms, my comrades at arms on this panel, Mr. Meziga and Mr. Fandi. I have one thing to say. Great minds think alike. I stand with them because I know what we can do. I stand with Mr. Fandi because I know his ability to bring people together. I stand with Mr. Medziga because I know in this party, he's our diplomat. Now, you know me. Say me na Fulawai. The part of me that like Kumbulu and Kuskas.
Today I know you that parable about the ferry where they bring people can or the lunch. But great discussion. I just learned again today. Say you go Cathedral Boys School, of course. One of my alma mater. I go there back in 1976, 77, 75, 76, 77. Selective entrance, and I believe saying long after you will have left. But I meet Amami Dixon Cole. Still not be me headmistress. But it's good for know that.
You meet
Many
Mrs.
thanks.
You meet Mrs. Streeter. You meet Mrs. Streeter.
No. Yeah, I know meet that day. I meet Dixon Cole as head of
You meet Pakol.
headmistress.
You meet Mr.
Yes, I
Sokata.
meet Pakol. I meet Dixon, Ola Dixon. Yeah, I meet Ola Dixon. Of course, he was new. Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's good. It's good for know that very good school, especially then. Many thanks. So, Fambule, we don't come to an
Yes.
end of this particular program. Very exciting program, and I believe say many things clarify here because this now be the objective we set out for do, and I think say we did achieve that in many respects. But I want to remind you now, despite say the numbers, the view numbers, have been small. We know say in the consequent days, thousands will have watched this. Coming on the day and now this week go be the man who broke that story regarding illicit mining at the northern side of Sierra Leone, Kailan, bordering Liberia and Sierra Leone. Will be on this platform. That's a Liberian journalist called Mo Brooks. He will be on this platform. Also coming, the big one will be Mr. Emerson Lamina. This is C4C week, if you will like. Mr. Emerson Lamina will be on the platform on Tuesday. Mr. Nyama, another C4C heavyweight, will be on the platform. We'll not decide a date yet, but definitely he will be on the platform. Okay, and so will be the the footballer Musa Tombo will be on this platform as well. So we'll get 4 or 5 heavy programs then. Unalo not forget, Supermed will be on the program tomorrow, and you get a heavy discussion with a very substantive guest. And on Sunday, Manso Bompature, not Manso, Daniel Bompature will be on the platform talking about the Kamarimba issue. Okay, so there's a lot more to come. On behalf of the Then and Now media platform, Mina Prince Emil Kroma, they say thank you very much for listening, and let us not forget for joining again in the coming days. Thank you so much to all, and thanks for tuning. Good night and goodbye.